bit of a controversial one, this. I know it gets a lot of people very hot under the collar. Some strong opinions on both sides of this particular fence, it's fair to say. There's essentially something that's this amendment to the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill to introduce abortion on demand for any reason up to birth, including sex-selective abortion in England and Wales. This has been tabled by Dame Diana Johnson MP. The bill will be debated at the report stage tomorrow, I understand it. On the line now to discuss this with us and hopefully shed a bit of light on exactly what this means is Dr. Callum Miller, medical doctor and a research associate at the University of Oxford, specialising in bioethics and abortion policy. Good morning, Dr. Callum. Thank you very much for joining us. Would you mind just outlining really in a bit more detail what's going on here, really?
Sure. Well, this is really an amendment that has been introduced by a small group of, I think it's fair to call them extremist MPs, who have decided that the current abortion law, which is already one of the most permissive in the world, allowing abortion up to 24 weeks, already well beyond viability, needs to be extended even further. So this is a position that's taken by 0.5% of women, according to national polling, that abortion should be extended up to birth for any reason. And this group of MPs has decided that this is something that's necessary in the UK for any reason at all, as you say, including sex-selective abortion.
So seriously, I could, well, not me personally, obviously, but my partner or whatever could, right up until she could be 9 months pregnant and decide that she doesn't want the baby. And what happens? They get rid of the baby and just let it die?
So, yeah, the way it would work is you would have to perform feticide first. Feticide is the technical term for when a baby is viable, you have to end its life before expelling it from the womb. This is usually done by injecting a chemical called potassium chloride, which has been banned from use in conscious animals by Worldwide Veterinary Association and the American Veterinary Association. It's been criticized as a tool of capital punishment for being excruciatingly painful and inhumane. And that would need to be done to make sure that the baby was no longer alive before delivery was induced in order to do the abortion.
Good grief. I must say it's been a real eye-opener for me personally. I certainly was not aware that this stuff could even be on the cards, frankly. I mean, surely there's going to be some backlash to these amendments.
Well, there certainly is. I mean, as I say, only 0.5% of women in the country actually support this radical extremist bill, or this amendment, sorry. And so, yeah, there's plenty of opposition from people from all across the political spectrum, from all religions and none. It's really something that I think most of us in a sane, humane society could agree on is not necessary and is quite extreme. So absolutely, there's plenty of opposition to it, including among the medical community, of course.
Yeah, you mentioned there are existing abortion laws now, I mean, I just wonder whether or not actually you said that we are quite lax, I suppose, when it comes to other countries around the world. Look, I think a lot of people are, especially as medical, as medical science improves and etc. Is it getting harder and harder to justify, do you think, aborting babies even at the time that we allow them to be aborted now?
Well, what we have seen is that over the last 50 or so years since abortion was introduced in the UK, is that science has continually confirmed or continually shown just how dated our current abortion law is, in that it allows abortion up to viability, which was originally 28 weeks. Now pretty much the most premature baby who was born is just over 21 weeks of gestation. So just over halfway through the pregnancy. And this is becoming lower and lower all the time. We've seen introductions in ultrasound technology, not just 2D, but 3D ultrasound. We've seen MRIs that are able to show the baby in the womb. And so really, yeah, this is an outdated law, but it's outdated in the fact that it still allows abortion of viable babies, and indeed abortion of any disabled baby up to and during birth, which I think now most of us would recognize is something that discriminates against disabled people. And that's why the UK government is currently being taken to court over it. But certainly, I think it's clear that medical science has made our current law absolutely redundant. And therefore, I think most people, and opinion polling confirms this, most people, and particularly most women, want to see the law made more acceptable and more humane.
I mean, one of the other things here is that it potentially, potential for sex-selective abortion. So if I didn't want a boy, I could get it aborted. Part of me questions whether or not these people should be parents at all. Is it? I mean, this is the idea that you would just abort a living thing because you don't like, what gender it is. I mean, I just find it very strange.
I mean, you're certainly right that this is something that most of us realize is abhorrent and is one of the most powerful tools of the patriarchy globally. In fact, there are about 1 million girls aborted in India every year just because they are girls, on no other reason that because they happen to be baby girls. And so this is something which, causes a huge amount of disruption and gender imbalance within certain societies around the world, and is on the increase in the UK as well. So just a few years ago, the Labour Party called for an end to this misuse of screening before birth, which was being used for sex selective abortion.
Well, I must say it's also obviously very unfortunate topic to discuss. But that said, I found it enlightening, and I imagine a lot of our listeners will as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Callum. Great to have you on board, and great to have your expertise on this particular issue, Dr. Callum Miller. There, medical doctor and a research associate at the University of Oxford, specialising in bioethics and abortion policy, reacting really to this amendment to the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill that could introduce abortion on demand for any reason up to birth, including sex selective abortion. As Dr. Callum pointed out there, we already have a pretty liberal abortion policy in this country. I just find it very, very strange that we would want to kind of go the whole hog, as it were, and do that. And I just find it absolutely staggering. Anyway,